Picture this, a quiet street at dusk, the kind where every house looks like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. That's where I live, in a tidy little corner of upstate New York, where the leaves turn gold in the fall and the snow buries secrets in the winter. My name's Marissa, and I'm 36, caught in the kind of life that looks perfect from the outside but feels like it's pressing in on me from every angle. I've got a husband, Ethan, who's 40 and sharp as a tack, a financial consultant who could probably balance the national budget in his sleep. But with that sharpness comes a need to control every single detail, and after 12 years of marriage, I've learned to live within the lines he's drawn. Our home is a museum of order. Not a speck of dust dares to settle on the countertops. Not a sock is out of place in the drawers. Ethan's got rules for everything, and I mean everything. I can still see him standing in the laundry room on a Sunday afternoon, his brow furrowed as he folds each towel into a perfect square, edges aligned like they're about to be inspected by a drill sergeant. "It's about efficiency, Marissa," he'd say, his voice calm but firm, as if a crooked fold might unravel our entire life. And then there's dinner, always at 6:30 on the dot, not a minute later. I've watched him check his watch, tapping the table lightly if I'm even 30 seconds behind with the plates. It's not anger, though. It's just expectation. A rhythm we've danced to for over a decade, where every step is choreographed, every word almost scripted. But there's another side to him, one that keeps me tethered even when I feel the itch to pull away. Every morning, before he heads out the door in his crisp suit, he leans down and presses a kiss to my forehead. It's gentle, deliberate, a ritual that's been ours since the day we said I do. In that moment, I feel safe, wrapped in the warmth of his certainty. Yet, there's a weight to it too, like a chain disguised as a ribbon, beautiful but binding. I've often stood at the window after he drives off, watching his car disappear down the street, wondering if I'm grateful for that kiss or if I'm just used to it. Lately, though, something's been stirring inside me, a restlessness I can't quite name. It's like a whisper in the back of my mind, asking what else is out there beyond these perfectly planned days. I've always followed Ethan's rules, kept the house as he likes it, smiled when he expects me to, but there's a part of me, a quiet, hidden part, that's starting to wonder what it would feel like to break free. Not to leave him. No, that's not it. It's more about unpredictability. A moment, a choice, a breath of something different. That whisper grew louder one evening, sitting on our beige couch in the living room, the faint hum of the dishwasher droning in the background like a distant heartbeat. I was curled up with a book I wasn't really reading, just passing the time, when Ethan settled into his favorite armchair across from me. His posture was stiff, as it always is, shoulders squared like he's about to deliver a boardroom presentation instead of talk to his wife. But there was something else there too. Something in the way his fingers gripped the armrest just a little too tightly, in the way his jaw clenched before he spoke. Then he said it, his voice carrying an edge I'd never heard before, sharp and unfamiliar. "What if I gave you absolute freedom and just watched?" I let out a nervous laugh, the kind that spills out when you're not sure if you've heard right, thinking, hoping it was some kind of strange jest. But when I glanced up, his face was stone-cold serious, his eyes locked on mine with a weight that pinned me to the couch. There was no trace of humor, no softness to ease the moment. My stomach twisted, and I fumbled for words, but nothing came. He leaned forward slightly, his voice low and deliberate, like he'd rehearsed this. "I want to test the limits, Marissa. Yours? Mine? See where the edges are?" He didn't elaborate, didn't offer any clarity, just let those words hang in the air like a storm cloud, heavy and ominous. What limits? What edges? My mind raced with questions I didn't have the courage to ask, each one darker than the last, each one making my pulse quicken in a way that wasn't entirely fear. I couldn't meet his gaze anymore. My fingers found the hem of my sweater, twisting and pulling at the loose threads, as if unraveling it might unravel the tension in the room. I stared at the coffee table, at the perfectly aligned coasters, feeling the heat creep up my neck. But I could still sense him watching me, his stare intense, almost piercing, like he was studying every twitch, every breath, waiting for something I didn't understand. It was a look I'd never seen from him before, not in all our years together, and it sent a shiver down my spine that I couldn't shake. The silence stretched on, suffocating, until finally he stood up, abrupt and decisive. "We'll talk more about this later," he said, his tone flat, before turning and walking out of the room, leaving me alone with the hum of the dishwasher and a whirlwind of thoughts I couldn't pin down. Over the next few days, the air in our house felt thicker, charged with something unspoken. At dinner, I'd catch Ethan's lingering glances across the table, his eyes holding mine for just a second too long before he'd look away, as if testing my reaction. It wasn't the usual scrutiny over whether the meal was on time. I'm still reeling from those cryptic words Ethan spoke days ago, the ones about testing limits and edges, as I sit in the passenger seat of our black SUV, the engine humming softly beneath us. We're heading to a countryside house, somewhere far from the manicured order of our upstate New York neighborhood. Ethan's hands grip the steering wheel with that same precision he applies to everything. But he's silent, unnervingly so. Not a word passes between us as the city fades into the rearview mirror, replaced by endless stretches of golden fields that ripple under the late afternoon sun like a sea of amber. The dirt roads twist and turn, narrow and uneven, kicking up clouds of dust that swirl behind us like ghosts chasing our tail. Each mile we cover tightens the knot in my stomach, a gnawing unease I can't shake. I glance at Ethan, hoping for some reassurance, a crack in his stoic mask. But his profile is unreadable, jaw set, eyes fixed on the path ahead. What are we driving toward? What does he have planned? My mind spins with possibilities, each more unsettling than the last, but I don't dare ask. Not yet. The landscape grows wilder as we go, the fields giving way to dense patches of trees, their branches clawing at the sky as if warning us to turn back. The air coming through the cracked window smells of earth and something faintly metallic, like rain on the horizon. My fingers fidget with the strap of my purse, the leather worn smooth from years of nervous habits. I try to focus on the scenery, on the way the sunlight filters through the leaves, casting dappled shadows across the dashboard, but my thoughts keep circling back to that conversation on our beige couch. Absolute freedom, he'd said, and just watched. What did he mean? The uncertainty gnaws at me, a splinter under my skin, and with every bump in the road, it digs deeper. After what feels like hours, the SUV slows, gravel crunching under the tires as we pull up to a sprawling estate, isolated and imposing against the quiet valley below. The house is a mix of old-world charm and stark modernity. Stone walls weathered by time, yet windows so clean they gleam like mirrors. A wide terrace stretches along the front, overlooking the rolling hills, a serene vista that should feel peaceful, but instead sends a shiver through me. There's an eerie stillness here, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for something to shatter the calm. I step out of the car, my boots sinking slightly into the soft earth, and the air feels heavier, charged with something I can't name. Ethan shuts his door with a deliberate thud, the sound echoing in the silence, and I follow him toward the terrace, my heart thudding louder with each step. As we round the corner, I stop short. There are 10 men already there, scattered across the stone terrace, some lounging on wrought iron chairs, others standing in tight clusters, their low murmurs carrying on the breeze. Ethan waves a hand casually, as if this is nothing out of the ordinary, and says they're acquaintances of his. But I've never seen a single one of them before, not at any dinner party or work event, and the unfamiliarity of their faces prickles at my nerves. They're a varied group, some older, with graying hair and stern expressions, others younger, barely out of their 20s, with sharp, hungry gazes. Their clothes range from tailored suits that scream money to worn jeans and faded tees, a strange mix that only heightens my unease. But it's their eyes that get me, the way they linger on me, assessing, almost predatory, like I'm a puzzle they're eager to solve. My skin crawls under their scrutiny, and I instinctively step closer to Ethan, seeking some kind of shield, some sign that he's as unsettled as I am. But when I turn to him, he's standing at the edge of the terrace, arms crossed over his chest, his posture as composed as ever. There's no trace of jealousy, no flicker of anger at the way these strangers are looking at me. His face is a mask of calm, almost detached, and it chills me more than the stares of the men. The sun is dipping low on the horizon now, painting the terrace in hues of burnt orange and deep crimson, as if the sky itself is bleeding with anticipation. Long shadows stretch across the stone floor, jagged and distorted, like fingers reaching out to claim something, or someone. I stand here, frozen near the edge of this sprawling outdoor space, the weight of the moment pressing down on me heavier than the humid air. There's a surreal quality to it all, like I've stepped into a dream I can't wake from, where every detail is too vivid, too sharp. The faint scent of jasmine lingers on the breeze, mixing with something earthier, something primal that I can't quite place. It's unsettling, this beauty paired with dread, and my heart thumps so loud I'm sure everyone can hear it over the distant chirp of crickets starting their evening song. Inside, I'm a storm of conflict, torn in ways I never thought possible. Part of me wants to bolt, to turn on my heel and run down those winding dirt roads we came in on, to scream at Ethan for dragging me into whatever this is. How could he put me here, in this position, surrounded by these strangers with their unreadable intentions? I want to grab him by the collar, shake him until he explains why he's so calm, why he's not stepping in to pull me away from this edge I'm teetering on. But there's another part of me, a darker, quieter part, that's buzzing with something I'm ashamed to name. It's curiosity, yes, but more than that. It's a thrill, a dangerous kind of exhilaration at the idea of the freedom he's dangled before me. Absolute freedom, he called it. What would it feel like to let go? To step outside the rigid lines of our life, just for a moment? That thought terrifies me as much as it draws me in, like a moth to a flame I know will burn. The men around me don't say much, their silence a heavy blanket over the terrace, amplifying every small sound, the clink of a glass, the shuffle of a boot against stone. Occasionally, a low murmur breaks through, a fragment of conversation I can't quite catch, followed by a burst of rough laughter that sends a shiver skittering down my spine. I try to focus on anything but their presence. On the way, the last rays of sunlight glint off the wrought iron furniture, but I can still feel their eyes on me, lingering, assessing. It's as if I'm on display, a specimen under glass, and I hate how exposed I feel, even though I'm still wrapped in the simple dress I wore for the drive. My palms are clammy, sticking to each other as I clasp my hands together, trying to steady myself. My breath keeps catching in my throat, shallow and uneven, like I'm forgetting how to breathe properly. The evening breeze brushes against my skin, cool and teasing, raising goosebumps along my arms. But it does nothing to soothe the heat building inside me. A mix of fear and something I don't want to admit. I steal a glance at Ethan, hoping for some kind of anchor in this storm. He's still in the corner of the terrace, half shrouded in shadow now as the sun sinks lower. He's holding a glass of whiskey, the amber liquid catching the fading light, but he hasn't taken a single sip. His face is a mystery, unreadable as ever, his eyes fixed somewhere in the distance. On me, on the men, on nothing at all, I can't tell. There's no warmth there, no reassurance, just that same detached composure that's always been his shield. I want to yell at him, to demand he look at me, really look at me, and tell me what he's thinking. Is this what he meant by testing limits? Is this the edge he wanted to explore? My stomach churns with a mix of betrayal and confusion, but I can't move, can't speak, rooted to the spot by the weight of his silence. Then, movement catches my eye, pulling me out of my spiraling thoughts. One of the men steps forward, breaking away from the small cluster near. As the first man steps closer, the air on the terrace shifts, growing thicker, almost suffocating, like the moment before a storm breaks. My heart is a wild drum in my chest, each beat echoing in my ears as I stand there, caught between the urge to flee and the pull of something I can't name. His presence is a force, heavy and undeniable, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that makes my breath hitch. He doesn't speak, doesn't need to. His gaze is a question, a challenge, and I feel the weight of Ethan's words from days ago pressing down on me. Absolute freedom. This is it, the edge he spoke of, and I'm teetering right on it. I glance over at Ethan, desperate for some sign, some reaction, but he hasn't moved from his spot in the shadowed corner. His glass of whiskey remains untouched, his posture rigid, his face an unreadable mask. Those eyes of his, though, they're fixed on me, unwavering, not a flicker of anger or pain, just a stillness that sends a chill racing down my spine. It's not judgment I see there, not even surprise, just observation. Like I'm an experiment unfolding before him, and he's waiting to see the outcome. I search for something, anything, in that gaze, but there's nothing to grasp onto, and that emptiness terrifies me more than the man standing in front of me. The first encounter begins like a slow dance with a stranger, tentative at first, but charged with an undercurrent I can't ignore. His touch is rough, like the bark of an ancient tree, grounding yet abrasive, pulling me into a rhythm I didn't choose but can't resist. It's as if I'm caught in a tempest, the winds howling around me, tearing at the edges of who I thought I was. Each moment strips away a layer, leaving me raw, exposed. Yet there's a strange heat building inside me, a flicker of something wild and untamed. I steal another look at Ethan between breaths, hoping to find a crack in his composure, but he's still as stone, watching without a word, without a flinch. That silence, it's louder than any storm, and it carves into me deeper than I expected. As the night deepens, one by one the others approach, each bringing a different current to the storm I'm lost in. The second man's presence is softer, like a gentle tide washing over me, but it carries an undertow that pulls me under just the same. His gaze is less piercing, more searching, as if he's trying to unravel a mystery I don't even understand myself. The rhythm shifts, slower, almost mournful, and I feel myself dissolving into it, piece by piece. With the third, there's a sharpness, a blade-like precision in every gesture, cutting through the haze and leaving me trembling in its wake. Each one is distinct. The fourth with a warmth like a dying ember. The fifth with a ferocity that mirrors a predator's focus. The sixth with a hesitance that somehow makes the moment heavier. Their touches, their looks, their very essences. They're all different, painting the night in shades of chaos I never knew existed. Between each, I turn to Ethan, my anchor in this whirlwind, but he remains unchanged. Not a step closer, not a word spoken, just that relentless stare. I keep expecting to see rage flare in his eyes, or hurt, or something human, but there's only that void, that eerie calm. It's as if he's not even there, not really, just a specter observing from the edge of my reality. And yet, that stillness, it fascinates me, draws me in even as it repels me. What is he thinking? What does he feel? The questions claw at me, but I can't ask, not now. Not when I'm being swept away by this current I've willingly stepped into. The seventh man brings a heaviness, a gravity that feels like it could crush me, his movements deliberate, like the slow roll of thunder before lightning strikes. The eighth is lighter, almost fleeting, like a gust of wind that scatters everything in its path before disappearing. With as the night on that stone terrace finally winds down, I'm left standing there, trembling in the cool air. My mind a tangled mess of emotions I can't begin to unravel. The men who had been so present, so overwhelming, start to drift away. Their figures melting into the shadows beyond the terrace's edge, their murmurs fading into the quiet hum of the night. The weight of what just happened presses down on me, heavy as the darkness that now cloaks the rolling hills. My skin still tingles with the echoes of their nearness, each moment a brushstroke on a canvas I didn't know I had inside me. I'm raw, exposed, like a nerve laid bare, and I don't know if I'm more afraid of what I've discovered about myself, or of what Ethan might think now that the storm has passed. I hear his footsteps before I see him, slow and deliberate, echoing against the stone underfoot, each one a small thunder in the stillness. Ethan approaches, his silhouette cutting through the dim light of the lanterns, flickering along the terrace's perimeter. I brace myself, my breath shallow, unsure of what's coming. My heart races as he draws near, and I can't bring myself to look up at first, my eyes fixed on the scuffed toes of my boots, the ground beneath me feeling unsteady, like it might crumble away. Then I feel the soft weight of a woolen blanket draping over my shoulders, his hands lingering for a moment as he adjusts it, his touch gentle yet firm, grounding me when I feel like I might float away on the tide of my own confusion. The warmth of the fabric is a stark contrast to the chill that settled into my bones, and I clutch it tighter, as if it could shield me from the chaos swirling in my head. Finally, I lift my gaze to meet his, expecting to see judgment, disgust, or even anger in those familiar eyes, something to confirm the worst of my fears. But instead, there's something else. Something I can't quite name. It's almost like awe, a quiet reverence that catches me off guard and steals the air from my lungs. His face, usually so controlled, so unreadable, softens just enough for me to see the flicker of something raw beneath the surface. He steps closer, his breath warm against the night air, and whispers, "Now I know what freedom is, and I know you're mine, even after all this." His voice is low, intimate, carrying a weight that both soothes and unsettles me in equal measure. Those words, they're a balm to the jagged edges of my nerves, but they also pierce through me, sharp and probing, making me question everything I thought I understood about us, about our marriage, about the lines we've drawn and redrawn over the years. I stand there, wrapped in that blanket, his words echoing in my mind like a refrain I can't escape. Freedom. Mine. Even after all this, they're a declaration, a claim, but also a puzzle. What does he mean by freedom? Is it the same as what I felt in those wild, untamed moments just now, when I let go of every rule, every expectation that's ever held me in place? Or is it something else, something darker, tied to the way he watched, unblinking, as I unraveled before him? And that word, mine, it's possessive, a tether that pulls me back even as I'm still reeling from the taste of something unbound. I want to ask him, to demand clarity, but my throat is tight, my voice lost somewhere in the storm of my thoughts. Instead, I just stare into his eyes, searching for answers he doesn't seem ready to give. In that moment, I realize something about myself, something I can't deny even if it scares me. I don't regret what happened here tonight. Not a single second of it. It was a release, a shattering of the cage I've lived in for so long, built from years of rules and roles I've played without question. I discovered parts of myself I didn't know existed, buried deep under layers of conformity and fear, parts that are wild, hungry, alive in a way I've never felt before. But don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.